Hello, everybody. Today we are going to talk about the principle of design unity and create a collage. So, this is our last principle of design that we're going to talk about, and I am going to show you the collage papers that we're going to use. So, we are going to use a piece of newspaper. We are going to use a piece of notebook paper. We're going to use some dictionary paper, and then this section right here is going to be painted. And then I'm going to use a map, and here's a map of Pennsylvania. There's where Mrs. G is from. Then I'm going to use a little bit of construction paper. Then I'm going to use a little bit of magazine paper, and then scrap. So you will be able to grab newspaper, line paper, notebook paper, dictionary paper, map paper, construction paper, and then grab a sheet of magazines. And then this last section can be either a receipt, or it could be junk paper that you have found in your backpack. I'm probably going to put down some other kind of fun paper here with some writing on it. But all of the papers are only 2 inches wide. So you need to make sure that you're getting strips that are 2 inches wide and then 11 inches long. So stay tuned. Mrs. G is going to glue all of these in. I'm also going to paint this area with acrylic paint, and I will be right back. Okay, so all of my papers are glued onto my sketchbook, and what I'm going to do now is quickly cut off the excess. I'm actually going to turn it this way to make sure that I am cutting everything off and it is as even as possible. Okay, so that page is done. And then I need to turn the book this way and then cut off these extra layers. Okay, so, oops, I missed one on the bottom of my map. There we go. Okay, I put my little messies up there. All right, so now I have all of my papers. I've got my newspaper, my line paper, dictionary, my acrylic paint, my map, construction paper, magazine. Actually, this is a flyer. And then I have a coupon because I am big couponing. So the next thing we're going to do is divide this up into 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 horizontal sections. And since I like to do everything kind of even, we're at 11, we're going to have to do some fancy dancing. So we can't go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Can't do that. So I'm going to go 1.5. And then if we have extra room, then that's okay. So here's my 1.5 here. And then 1.5 here. And then another 1.5. Oh, that's hard for Mrs. G to see on the newspaper. So that's 4.5. And then we'll scooch up 5, 6.5. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this is going to be a little bit too big. Okay. So maybe you need to do 1 3/4. There you go. There's why we always measure twice and mark once. So I'm going to go down 1 3/4, and then 1 3/4, and then 1 3/4, and then 1 3/4, and then 1 3/4. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. This is 5 and this is 6. And now all I'm going to do is draw my lines all the way across to both pages, and then I'll be back to tell you what we're going to do next. Okay, so now that I have marked off my 6 sections, I went back to dafont.com and I found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different fonts, and some of them are outlined in a Sharpie and others are not. And here's the reason why. I am going to watercolor the entire background here, leaving this open in the middle. Okay, the one with colored pencil is going to be completely colored in with colored pencil. I am going to put bleeding tissue paper on top of this, and I'm not sure if I'm going to color this in with Sharpie or not. That's going to take me a little bit. This one is going to be completely filled in with marker. This one is going to be completely filled in with the drawing pencils. And then in and around the watercolor pencil words or letters, I'm going to do the watercolor pencils in through here. So I am going to take my time and show you how to do the watercolor one, and then the rest of these are going to be a super quick time-lapse video of each one. It's gonna be a little bit, this project is going to take a little time, so I want you to take your time and make sure that you do this properly. Okay, so let's have a little bit of a refresher with the watercolors. So here's your watercolor palette, and came with a brush inside because these are new, and then I have my water right here to the side. Now if you remember from Art 1, when you use watercolor, I'm going to slide this over just to quickly show you, you have to prime your paints. So I'm just going to do little bits of droplets in my palette. Okay, I'm just going to get them ready. I'm not going to do brown, I'm not going to do black. I'm just going to stick with the primary and secondary colors. Okay. And it shouldn't take me too long because I am not doing a very large section. Okay, I'm going to put my water over there. And I'm going to put this over here and take a guess what kind of order. I need a paper towel. Mrs. G is going to go in. I hope you guessed rainbow order because that's kind of my jam. All right, so let's take a little bit of red, and I like to go in the same direction when I use the watercolor. And I did not erase my pencil lines. Shame on me. So that might be something to think about. Also too, just a friendly little reminder, we do not mix here. Okay, we don't mix on here. If you want a palette to mix colors, I will get you a palette to mix colors, but we do not mix on here because then it gets so yucky for the next person, and that's not cool. That's not cool at all. Okay, I'm gonna try and come in here and make sure I this whole area. Okay, let's move. Let's move to orange. And remember, the colors can bleed a little bit together. It's kind of nice when they bleed together like that, because then you have your tertiary colors. So if you remember from the color wheel, red and orange make red orange. I'll go in there and get my little spot for the A. And the watercolor shows up very different on the different types of paper that we are painting on. Okay? Now I'm gonna try yellow, but it's not gonna work very well. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's not gonna work very well. It's gonna look kind of gross. It's not even gonna look like an orange. It's just gonna look gross. That's okay. That's because I decided to use red acrylic paint. It's not doing much of anything. That's okay though. We tried it. We know what it looks like, and it doesn't look great. Okay? Now I see that I missed a couple spots. Remember, you can always come in with just clean water, clean that up. I missed a spot there, missed a spot up here. I don't like having any white spots, so that's all good. Now I'm gonna move over this way, and I'm gonna tackle my green, which will be very cool. I'm so excited that I found a section of Pennsylvania where I grew up. Very cool. I'll show you when we get there, but Mrs. G is from right there on the map, if y'all know how to read a map. I'm not very good at reading maps, but that's a skill that I was just really never good at. And you know what? That's okay, because you don't need to be an expert in all of the things. Okay, so let's move to blue. And the construction paper is probably going to soak up, oh boy, I almost went purple. The construction paper is probably going to soak up a lot of the paint. And I can do the O. Oh, I forgot to do the middle of the green. Okay, I'll go back and do that. Okay, trying to stay in the lines. Trying to get over here. I'm gonna need more water so that I could blend them, because that looks yucky. And this is kind of beating up right here, because this is magazine paper. It's actually a flyer from Ulta. But it still works nonetheless. Alright, let me rinse this off and try and get in here and blend these two. It's not going very well. Maybe I need a little bit more green, because the construction paper is kind of like a little bit of a sponge. And then this way I could come in here and do my little O. Okay, the last color is my purple or violet. And I'm gonna paint over my Nutella coupon. My son loves Nutella. Oh, look at that. It beaded right up. Holy moly. And I could use it because it's an expired coupon. If it was a real coupon and I could use it, I would not have glued it into this book because Mrs. G loves her coupons. Okay. Add a little bit more water here. That's crazy how it does not stick to the coupon / magazine paper. Okay, so that is the very first section of our Unity mixed media collage, and then we're going to keep going down the line. So stay tuned for each one of these one at a time. Okay, we are on our very last section of our collage, which is the bleeding tissue. And when we get to this particular part of our mixed media collage in Unity, we're going to have to let this sit overnight. If you don't remember how to do bleeding tissue, I'm going to quickly show you how to do it. Before we get started, you need to make sure that your strips are the same size as your horizontal rectangle. So it should be 1 3/4 by 2 inches. But remember, bleeding tissue can overlap. So the first thing you have to do is get a little bit of water and put it down. And I think I'm gonna start with the blue. And then I have to get more water, because remember, the water is kind of like your glue. And it looks like it's gonna bleed a little bit into my colored pencil, which I do not want. Okay, so it's really important that you measure your bleeding tissue. Okay, so that's good. I'm gonna do the E and the D. Okay, so that should turn into some kind of fun little green. I'm not sure how it's going to look over the paint, but we shall see. Okay, so I'm going to get that nice and wet. Then I'm going to take my green and kind of seal it down. The water is a little bit like the glue for this, because it kind of holds it all in place. I'm very curious to see what it's going to look like over the paint. Okay, I'm going to do my map. I'm going to put my yellow down. Oops, I need to put some more here on my construction paper. And then a little bit more water to glue it down. And then on the magazine paper. And then let me slide this over so that you can see my last little section here is the green. Once it's all glued down, we are ready to, whoops, oh well, that's just gonna stay there. Okay, so now we have to let this sit overnight, and then the next class period we'll peel this off. We will go back in, and looks like I need some more bleeding, some more water right there. We will color this in, or we'll leave it blank, I'm not sure. And then if you did not get a chance to outline watercolor, colored pencil, bleeding tissue, marker pencil, and watercolor pencil, then you can go ahead and do that, and we'll take a picture and submit it. But that is Unity, and I hope you had fun making this collage.